Time now to hear from the Director of Education. Now, wait a minute, friends. The Director of Education for the Oklahoma Farmers Union, Mrs. Ima Brumley. Come on, Chuck, make noise.
Well, thank you, everyone. And good morning, radio listeners. Goodness, I should bring my board of directors up again sometime. We my script says we have a nice surprise for you, but it isn't a surprise by now, I'm sure, since they've already told you about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I always like to make you up there.
But anyway, our board of directors are in town for a meeting, and I talked them into coming up here. And Golda Peebles, head of the membership department, came along to give them her moral support. We're awfully glad to have Gold up here this morning, too. First, we'll have Mr. Herman Swart of Rocky. Mr. Swart, how do you feel about the farm program enacted by this session of Congress?
Well, this Congress did give us a temporary farm program, which provides for 90% loans on some of our more important crops, and which is a good program. Good for 2 years, I believe. But it is much better than the Aiken bill, which would have taken effect January 1st and would have dropped our support price to 60% of parity under some conditions. As a result of the Farmers Union hard fight, we came out with a much better program than we would have had if the Aiken bill had gone into effect. I understand that the Farmers Union was the only farm organization that stood for a rigid support price of 90% or above. Actually, the Branham Plan would have given us 100% of parity, and we think farmers are entitled to 100%, which would put them on a better level with other groups of society. During the war years, the average income for farm families was $900, and the average income for other groups, that is, people living in town, was $1,400.
Well, we certainly agree that farmers should have 100% of parity, Mr. Swart. Next, we will hear from Mr. Jimmy Hayes of Enid. Jimmy, why don't you tell us about some of the bills the Farmers Union were able to get enacted during this session?
There are a number of clear-cut victories for the Farmers Union at which we can point with pride. First on the list is the telephone bill, which is now the law of the land. I think that it is safe to say that without the activity of the Farmers Union, it would not have been passed. From the very first, we were in there fighting. Not only Farmers Union leaders, but dirt farmers poured into Washington to tell their congressmen our views. The result, first, was a good bill approved by the House and a fairly good bill finally approved by the Senate. It is important to emphasize that only continuous prodding brought this result. At one point, Farmers Union leaders were told that there was no hope for approval of a telephone bill at this session. It was only after our President Patton called on President Truman that the bill got on the calendar. Not the least of our victories was the passage of a housing bill which included farm housing. Passage was finally obtained after a 10-year fight. Other victories of the Farmers Union included a storage bill which provided for loans for the construction of elevators and on-the-farm storage for grain. Also, the Reciprocal Trade Pact, ratification of the Wheat Agreement, and a hospital construction bill which extended the present act 5 years and doubled the appropriations. Impressive among the Farmers Union victories were appropriations authorized for transmission lines. Among agencies obtaining needed funds is the Southwest Power Authority.
Thank you, Jimmy. I'm sure farmers everywhere will welcome that bit of news.